Good morning, everybody. So I just woke up. Um, yeah, I was listening to a YouTube video this morning. And, when I listen to YouTube, it just goes into whatever I searched through last. And it's still on all that Chris Watts stuff. And I'm listening to the same people over and over again, do the same stuff over and over again. And okay, whatever. I still fall asleep and it's fine. But there was this one video that this lady who reads all the discoveries on YouTube and just goes, she orders the discoveries and then she reads them and talks about them. Well, she tried to open up a group and the group was insane. She said that I guess at one point, one of her mods or all of her mods were like removing people from the group. They were people were messaging her back and forth. The group was just completely was chaotic. And so and she was crying on YouTube. I was like, oh my God. And because her venue was YouTube. Her venue was YouTube to talk about the discovery of certain, crime stories. And then she tried to segue into a group where everybody can talk back and forth, just like I did, thinking that there'd be a great place to have like minds come out and meet and talk about the protocol. And boy, was it insane. And then I guess she hired some mods, probably not for any money, but took on some mods who were rogue. And those mods completely kicked everybody out of the group. And I shouldn't be laughing because people don't understand what it's like to be a moderator as well as to be an admin for any type of group, no matter what thought process, whether it's true crime or whether it's a health protocol or something else. It's like everybody now, you're going to get everybody and their mother's opinion, or just people needing an outlet for their hormones. They need to go and abuse somebody. So, I mean, it's better they abuse somebody on the internet, which is really isn't better, but okay, than to actually abuse somebody in real life, or they could be doing both. It's hard to say, but groups are insane. So I'm remembering when I finally segued a year ago from the 60,000, and it was counting 60,000 people, to where I stopped all the memberships from coming in. And then I segued into my website, which has its own discussion forum that is private and anonymous, so nobody can call CPS or harass you. And we paid somebody. We paid somebody to actually physically take people out of the group. I tried to do it on my own. Myself and my moderators, we tried to go and just hit delete, whatever it is that you have to do. You can't do like a mass delete of everybody. No, it has to be one person at a time. There was no way I would spend 1 month, 8 hours a day or whatever. I know, read the files. Oh my God. To kick people out. There was no way. So yeah. So we hired a few people that are still on my Facebook that went in with a few friends. We can't even delete all the posts. There's still posts. There's probably maybe 200 ghosts in that group that I can't even remove. I don't know who they are or what. But maybe there's less. I haven't checked lately. But we can't even remove the posts. So the posts are still in there. And there's maybe less than 200 people. And I did add a few in there, just people that just want to go and research, like some friends of mine, like my mods and some other people that are doing some research on their own. But that's only like a handful, not even 5. Okay. And so it's like taking people out of the group is insane. So yes, it still shows that I moderate a group on Facebook, but no, that group is totally inactive. There's a few ghosts in there and a few people in there that really, it's not, we don't do anything in there. It's just purely them doing research on recipes or something else that someone may have posted in there. But that's it. The group on my Facebook is done with, because it's like the wild, wild west. Everybody is just playing the standoff game. That's what it is in these groups, the wild, wild west. There is no law and order. I mean, there's a little bit, with Facebook community standards, but even then there really isn't. So it's like, there's no point anybody open up a Facebook group unless you want to open yourself up to some heartache. Okay. So there was that. So I listened to that this morning, this lady that was just crying because she was just like so traumatized from how she was how she was experiencing being screwed over by some rogue mods, and then how everybody in that group was messaging her saying, how did I get kicked out? Oh my God. I mean, it really does color your life. When you deal with so many different personalities coming at you and all their hormones, and she's doing true crime anyway. She's reading Discovery, so she's already in drama, already dealing with drama, already dealing with, with victims and perpetrators and people's just emotional state over these types of crimes. And then she's dealing with people who are already imbalanced. I mean, this poor lady, and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, I remember what it was like. So when someone asks me, why don't you do a group? And I get triggered. I'm like, oh my God, you don't know what I dealt with for like over a year. It was insane. So yeah, so when we pay somebody to take people out of the group, the group has gone awry. No more group. Okay. So now we have about maybe 500, 600 people that are actually members of my discussion forum on my website, and that's a better place. And it's not as active as Facebook, as far as my own Facebook, only because it's really there. My discussion forum is only there for people who have questions, and it's very deliberate. It's not easy like Facebook. There's no instant gratification. So if you're going to go in my website, it's because you're deliberate. You're not just a fly by night. And if you are, we get rid of you and no big deal. So anyways, so yesterday was like my day off, I guess, so to speak, but not really, because I'm always thinking anyways. But I decided to do an experiment because my birthday was the day before, and I worked on my birthday, so to speak. I mean, I was unpacking or packing the kitchen and just in that mode of just being productive. So, and I have these traditions only because I grew up with awesome parents who gave me a great foundation. And one of the traditions is like a great birthday cake. Well, I'm not really looking for anyone to buy me a birthday cake. That's not really the point. But I really wanted, and I'm looking on Facebook and I'm looking at Google and I'm looking at all these different birthday cakes, and I love strawberries and cream. We used to go to this place called Wilson's in Santa Clara, California, that is not there anymore. But they would make these huge, big Buffonti birthday cakes, and it was whipped cream and strawberries. And they would make it to where it was like a dress, like a Southern Belle dress, and they put a doll at the top, and then they would decorate the doll, and that would be like the theme birthday cake. And I had like Star Wars birthday cake, I think, one time, but it was always whipped cream and strawberries. It was like my mom's favorite. It was my favorite. I love whipped cream and I like strawberries. I like the filling. I mean, that's like my favorite birthday cake. So I'm thinking like, every year for me, just because it's something that I like, but I think I'm going to change that tradition now because I don't need birthday cake. But I did get a little birthday cake yesterday, and I wanted it, and I ordered it from like the local grocery store. It's like $16 for like an eighth of a sheet of a cake, which is 8 slices. And I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. And it's pure freaking sugar. Okay. You guys know. And I told Kevin the other night, I said, Kevin, I bought myself a birthday cake. And I mean, I didn't put any inscription on it, but it was just, I wanted to eat a strawberry whipped cream cake. But I mean, this is a local grocery store. There's really it's not high expectations, but I mean, how can you go wrong with strawberries, cake, and whipped cream? It really can't. But I mean, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't so wonderful, but it was, okay. But still, the point of why I'm going to try to stop that tradition, because yeah, I ate basically the whole cake. Just so you know, I ate the whole cake. And I had like mac and cheese. I mean, I was eating so much sugar yesterday. It was crazy. And I could see where it becomes out of control for people. Because I got up at 6 in the morning. The bakery opened at 7. I was there around 7:30, almost 8. Got the cake, brought it home, ate a few slices, ate some mac and cheese, watched, and this is like the processed mac and cheese. So you think like, oh my God, is she trying to kill herself with all this processed food? But no, I was actually experimenting to see, okay, can my body handle this onslaught of processed food and the amount of sugar that I ate? Something like, yeah, the body does need sugar, but does it need that much? No. But I noticed after I ate the cake and the mac and cheese, I had to fall asleep. And Kevin warned me. He just said, you're going to fall asleep. You were going, and it's true. I did take a nap for like, I think maybe an hour or so, 2 hours. And then I had another craving. I had bread craving, and I wanted some bread. So I went down to Subway and just got bread and a little bit of cheese. And I had some spaghetti sauce, and I ate a bunch. I ate a whole like a foot long bread, but nothing except for a little bit of cheese, and then the spaghetti sauce. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, Jill, this is insane. So I didn't go drink a bunch of my drink. Like I slammed, and even though I ate all this food and it was just like, what the hell? I didn't care how full it was. I was drinking my drink, and it wasn't going to do waterfalls. I knew unless I drank like it was like a quart that I drank, and it was fine. And I felt, because I did feel bloated after eating all that crap yesterday. I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as what people. I've eaten some worse stuff that it was harder to process. So I felt kind of bloated. So when I drank my drink, it settled the bloating. I could feel everything getting pushed down to the lower intestine. So I felt better. I didn't feel so like sluggish. And I was, I mean, my circadian rhythms are still, even though I took a nap, I was still tired around 9:30. So that's interesting. So even though I essentially abused my body by eating all that crap, and I did take a nap, you'd think that I would be up until a midnight. No, I was still on that schedule of 9:30, 10 o'clock, go to sleep, and I was tired, went to sleep, got up at 5 this morning, all of that crap came out. And I don't need to go into detail, but I didn't need to drink my drink to get it out. No, it all came out. Every single bit of whatever it is that I ate, it all came out. And I could see, just like you can see almost like a timeline. Like when you cut the tree rings, you can see exactly everything that I ate yesterday came out. Not that it was in the same form, but it was definitely there. So, and I have no sugar cravings today. Now I'm gonna drink a cup of coffee because I like the coffee and I want a little bit of adrenaline. Not that I really need it. I haven't had coffee this morning. I'm actually feeling really energized. I had nothing to drink, no water even this morning at all. But I released all of those demons. Now I can see when someone has a very sluggish immune system and sluggish digestive system, all of that sugar and all that crap that I ate or they ate the day before would still stay in their system, causing them to be craving more sugar. When someone has a major malfunction and they're eating crap, I can see where then the sugar addicts, so to speak, I guess, if you want to call it that, would happen because they're not releasing it and resetting the body. And, I mean, not everybody will sit on the toilet and make sure everything is out before they get off the toilet. So once I got done in the bathroom and I'm like, I have no crave, I have no reason. And I'm looking at the birthday cake there that's totally demolished. I should probably take a picture so I can show you guys, and I will. So you can see what I did yesterday. But I will not eat any more birthday cake for probably maybe I'll have a little bit at some, I'm going to a baby shower in a couple weeks, but I will not demolish a cake like that probably ever again. Because first of all, yeah, the body will put me into like a narcoleptic type of mode. So you're right, Kevin, on that. But it wasn't like it was difficult to work out of the body because it's not like it's just batter. It comes out in batter. It doesn't come out in birthday cake style. It comes out in batter. No different than the bread came out like in a battered style. So I wasn't taking in elements that had different consistencies where it's harder to pass. It was just like, whipped cream coming out of my butt. That's basically what it was. But who wants to have that? I mean, that's just gross anyways. And it wasn't, and it's not, and I knew it wasn't good for me. That's why I slammed my drink right afterwards. So I couldn't even try to kill myself if I wanted to. If someone was saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to go binge. So when you're 100% well healed and sealed and you're living your best life and you say, hey, you want to go and partake in some amazing buffet food, like on a cruise or whatever it is that you do out there, you're not going to die if you go and eat a bunch of cake and you go and binge. Make sure you drink a bunch of the juice right afterwards to make sure that and it wasn't like I was waterfalling, because there was no way I was going to waterfall yesterday. I would have to have drank in like at least three quarters of a gallon to actually waterfall. But it wouldn't waterfall what I actually just ate because that's not processed yet. It had to take overnight to process out of my body. So whatever I ate the night before would have been what my waterfalls would be if I was trying to slam the juice and try to do waterfalls, because the body is not going to process food that quickly. So it's understanding even how the body processes food when you drink the drink and what actually is being waterfalled out. You're actually waterfalling the night before types of stuff, or way earlier on in the day if you do it at night. So if I ate basically the whole cake around 6 o'clock at night, and I'm slamming my drink, if I was going to waterfall, it would have been from earlier on that day. But I didn't even want to do that because I was so full. But at least I wasn't so full that I was uncomfortable and I wasn't ready to waterfall, but I was comfortable. So I didn't have to go and waterfall even what I already had the night before or even earlier on in the day. So anyway, so the moral of the story to that is there's no way I could kill myself on food at this point in my life. There is no way I could do that. Which then leads me to the next thing about absolutes. Okay, about life and death. There are a lot of people that are still believing that there's an afterlife and that, there is no death on this earth. It just recycles back. Okay, if you're speaking in those types of terms, okay, you then fully don't understand this protocol. Because some of you, I don't grow plants. I don't have plants in my house. My husband does. But my mom used to have plants. My mom still has plants. When I grew up, she had plants. And so she would water plants all the time. Sometimes when in a more of a drier day or the climate changes, some of the ends of the plants become a little bit, I would say that they get dry at the ends. And then she'd go and revive it with some other extra minerals or more water. And then the plant would then, look better or whatever. So that's kind of like the human body. If you decide not to water a plant, okay, it dies. Yeah, you can call it's going back into earth and then decomposing, but that plant that you had, that plant is now dead. Now, I don't care if you think that it's okay for it to die, that's going back into earth to be recycled back into the universe. That's a way to excuse someone for not taking responsibility, that they could have kept that plant alive. No different than the human body. Why would you want to recycle yourself back into it? Why not be this energy, be this force, be this hormone force that's balanced, that's beautiful, that's tending and giving love to animals and being alive on this earth to love your children, to love your family, and not just love, but also enjoy life. That's why life is here. Death is only because you have consequences for not abiding by the laws based upon the purpose of who you are. That's what death is. Death isn't something that is accepted as it doesn't matter what you do whatever the hell you want, because with no consequences. We need to look at death as a consequence, but people don't. So it means that they can do whatever the hell they want in this lifetime and reap no consequences and think that things are going to be better on the other side. Is it ascension? Is it, when people drop in scripture saying like, oh, you don't really die, you're just this and I mean, I am tired of the dogma of this scripture being dropped on my page. And I know someone who liked that scripture too, who still believes that people should die in some way. I know there's a few of you that think that death is a beautiful thing. You're not going to be readily obviously saying it because you know how I feel about people promoting death on my page, even in a different context. But death is a freaking consequence. It is not something that we strive for. And if you strive for death, then you have an imbalance. And if you accept death and think it's a beautiful thing, you have an imbalance. So then I'm like, oh, wait, then hold on a second. The me and the trolls are actually on the same page. They're misinformed about what Jilly Juice is. They haven't really listened to me long enough to understand and change their perception on me. But we are actually on the same page along with my fans of sorts, because they're afraid that I'm killing them. Well, obviously I'm not, but that's what they're afraid, because they don't want to die. They don't believe in death. Even though people say, oh yeah, I believe in death. No, your actions and your platform speak completely the opposite. This is what I finally understood now that I understood about absolutes. Now I had to finally differentiate the absolutes from the advertising world and advertising this protocol and this book and, just my website. But that's different. That's in the matrix advertising world, because when it comes to health and wellness, you're dealing with different people in uncontrolled circumstances. So there's no absolutes there. But you can have an absolute in your belief system. What I have found that the system promotes is no absolutes. So every single platform you take on, you're always going to be hypocritical. Always. Because there's always somebody that says, oh yeah, I'm pro-life, political wise, when it comes to pro-life and pro-choice. But yet they let their body degrade to where they actually believe in death. So yeah, they believe a baby should live, but they don't believe that their grandma should live indefinitely. Where's the difference? not forget themselves and the cells in their body, because hey, the cells in your body, yeah, they will die if you violate the laws of your immune system, but then you also have the ability to regenerate them so your whole body doesn't totally die. But when somebody actually dies in the system from natural causes, I don't see anybody that's pro-life in that whole anti-abortion world speaking up and saying, hey, why are we allowing the geriatric community to die when we're so pro-life? So we have to now realize that there are absolutes, and our system that doesn't want to even talk about absolutes makes a hypocrite out of everybody in the mainstream and the alternative mainstream. And so that's why you have this Tower of Babel, because we have people who are hypocritical in their belief system. Their actions do not align with their words. So this is something I wrote yesterday after I drank a bunch of my juice, of course. And I should have had this set up, but it's okay. But it really, I mean, it made a lot of sense to me, of course. I mean, not that I'm biased or anything, but this speaks to what is going on in our world. If you think that death doesn't exist when it actually does, you may still have trouble with the laws of the universe. See, I have people who are talking about reincarnation or talking about the soul being recycled back and coming back and whatever, okay? So I'm done with that type of people. I'm not asking anybody to believe in reincarnation or what they think happens in the afterlife or what they think a person or animal's death means, okay? I'm not even asking that from any of you. My information is purely understanding death that should not occur to take down a whole animal or a whole individual, but we understand that cells do die because of the violation of the body. Okay, that's something different. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. When you get lost in the details, you fail to see the bigger picture, and it's harder to make the connections. Activism, okay? This is the irony, because I came from the activist world. Activism is getting lost in the details because you're all compartmentalized, not seeing the bigger picture of how everything is actually connected, okay? People don't want to talk in absolutes because it would mean they would have to hold themselves accountable to a particular argument, which means that everything they say and do needs to be aligned with their belief system. And unfortunately, our system is set up for you to be hypocritical in all of your arguments until you actually adopt an absolute belief system. Now, according to the Federal Trade Commission, you cannot advertise in absolutes because you're dealing with so many different types of people in an uncontrolled environment. But you can still have an absolute belief system. I challenge anyone to admit one of two things: that you either believe in indefinite life in your current physical body, mind, and spirit / hormones, or you believe in absolute death. You can't have it both ways. And I see a lot of the religious types that want to drop scripture and talk about all these different things that I don't necessarily subscribe to, want to then talk about how, that death is something that should be welcomed. It's another part of the stage of life. Sorry, but how can life be death? You can't have it both ways. Sorry. So if you believe you should live today, then you don't believe you should die at all, ever. So if you don't believe that you should die, if you live today and you want to get up in the morning and you want to live and you're afraid of all these things, the chemtrails, Jillian, 5G, the war, whatever, then you absolutely believe in absolute life. Because unless you are dead, you have no idea when you're going to die. So you don't believe people should die at all. Now, just because people out there in the world die doesn't mean that you should. And why do they die? Because they have violated the death is a consequence. Death is a consequence of somebody not abiding by the laws of the universe for the purpose of your body, not the purpose of the universe as a whole. Even though, yeah, we're all connected, but every single form has a purpose. This phone has a purpose. When this phone finally breaks down for whatever reason, and it could be a malfunction in some of the inner workings, or I could have dropped it in the toilet. So either way, life degraded because I couldn't maintain the inner parts. I can't go in and oil all the little different parts because this is stuff that is so minuscule that there's no way I can go and figure out where the malfunction is. So once this phone doesn't work anymore, it's dead. The purpose is done with. But we're not talking about phones. We're talking about a human life as well as an animal's life. So when you buy a plant, so when you buy a plant, don't you water it? When you start seeing your plant starting to wither, do you not feed it and make sure it gets taken care of so it never dies? Why should you let your body go to shit if you don't let your plant go to shit? So when I say I believe in immortality and you're afraid to die regardless of where your fear came from, then you know you believe in life 100%. Now, as far as living forever, that is a theoretical thing that is something that you can't even predict what forever is. Forever is a story. Forever is is something that can't be proven. There is no such thing as forever, and there's no such thing as yesterday. All there is today, but there is proof in not just your body, but yes, there's proof in your body, but there's proof out there what people's practices are that render a specific consequence or an outcome. So in reality, when you think about it, all the fears of Jilly Juice are people that don't want to die. They actually believe that people should not die. They believe in life. Now, immortality is something completely different that can't be proven anyways. But if you don't believe in death today, then why should you ever believe in death at all? Why is death even something to be accepted if you don't believe that you should die today? Nobody wants to die today. Nobody wants to die tomorrow. So then you don't believe in death. So when someone drops scripture and says, oh yeah, they think that death is okay, death is part of life, I'm sorry, but it's like saying that it's an oxymoron. I didn't want to give an analogy because I'll probably fuck up the analogy because I tend to fuck up analogies. But no, it's an oxymoron. Death is not a part of life. Death is a consequence. Death comes from mutations that are uncorrected. And so when someone wants to die for a cause, that is something I cannot get behind at all whatsoever. So there are religious types out there that will die for their cause. I can't get behind you on that. I will never die for a cause. I don't believe anyone should die at all. So why the hell would I die for a cause? I will not die for life. That doesn't make sense to me. That's another oxymoron. Fighting for peace, another oxymoron. And so, yeah, this does challenge a lot of religious types who think that death is perfectly fine, that it's accepted. And there are some religions that are very open about that. I would say this religion is open about it, but they're still very precious because they understand how life works. They just happen to not exactly understand that they don't need to die. It's not a part of life. Okay, and this is the Catholic religion. Because yes, death is part of the Catholic religion's platform. And it's not that they're satanic. No, I mean, I don't want to go to satanic. Because anything can be deemed satanic. When you believe that death is a part of life, that's just living to die. That doesn't even make sense. It's a confusion because people have been taught not to live in absolutes. We have so many different religions, so many different thought processes, so many different cultural beliefs. And when it really comes down to it, we all believe in life. And then nobody is questioning why we're dying. Whether we're dying sooner or later, it doesn't matter. If it's sooner or later, it's still death. Death is still death. There's no difference. Death is death. It's an absolute. And I know there's people that have very difficult with that because they still are believing in the crystals and the ascension and all the new age stuff. And I know who they are on my Facebook, and I get it. And it's still peeling back the layers, of programming. And some people are very highly mutated still, but they're seeing the light, and the light is at the end of the tunnel, but they're still stuck in the programming that death is something that should be accepted and should be, just be at peace with. No, I'm not going to be at peace with death. That's a consequence. When you understand how to regenerate your cells, just no different than when you go and revive your plant because you weren't giving it water and it's totally like parched and thirsty. And then when you give your plant water, it comes to life. Oh my God, you don't have to kill off your plant to go then and say, okay, this is a great thing. I just killed off my plant. But that's how we treat. Everything is disposable in our society. Animals are disposable. Oh, I'm gonna go get a pet, and I'll just take the pet, and I'll just give the pet just enough food for it to survive. But yeah, in 5 or 8 years, then when the pet's gonna die, I'm not gonna ever get another pet again because I can't go on a cruise, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Pets and animals and people have been disposable in our society because of the lack of absolutes belief system. Fine, if you believe in death, then say it. I believe in death. I believe everyone should die. But you know what? People don't. And that's where I get annoyed, is that when someone says, oh, I believe in death, you should die. I don't believe in immortality. Animals should die. People should die. Everyone should die. But yet they will fight for tooth and nail for their life. They will go and be an activist because they think that government and somebody and Jillian is killing them. But yet they believe in death. That's where you see the major imbalance in our society. And that's where you have to step away from those types because they don't know what the hell they want. They love life, but they're afraid that somebody who is giving them some kind of life and is speaking about possible immortality in a theoretical sense, but absolutely loving life, they can't get behind that because it's like they're having this internal struggle, this battle that sometimes you guys have no business belonging in their battle. Okay? So it's like, so that's why now, I mean, I'm gonna have to change this because this, my speech. So this was like my beginning of the speech. Why do people die? No, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna have to say, why do people, what is life and what is death? Death is the consequence. Here are the 3 things. I'm gonna have to revamp that. Here are the 3 things that will either kill you or either keep you alive. And they all have to be in a specific balance based upon nutrition and all these different factors. Not just nutrition, but strategic nutrition. And using the specific elements that are available to us in our universe. And no, it doesn't make sense to go kill off a plant or an animal. Now, here's the thing. When you are building a house, and I was talking about like animals and how we shouldn't really kill any animals, but yes, somehow, when we do expand in our society, that when we build a house, some animals who aren't up to snuff, who aren't strong, are going to then suffer. But animals have been uprooted from their homes, and so has humans for many, many years. They'll adapt. So if an animal dies in the process of construction because we humans want to build a house, I'm sure they would have seen the signs that something was amiss and they need to get the hell out. My dog, when she was out in the backyard and she was digging up real rabbits and killing them, it's kind of sucked, but that's what animals do. Well, we don't have rabbits making little nests in our backyard anymore because they remember what my dog Sugar did. She dug up those nests. So guess what? Animals learn where it is that they can build their house. And sometimes animals have to uproot themselves and to survive. And if an animal is trying to be an activist and stopping construction, and they're this little tiny bit of flesh against this huge caterpillar and this huge human, then they're severely imbalanced. They're trying to fight something that they have no business fighting. They need to get the hell out and go and reestablish their family somewhere else. I mean, that's kind of anthropomorphizing animals, but that's the mentality that humans need to take on. Why fight? I mean, if they are actually taking a bunch of elements and putting you in a gas chamber, well, yeah, you fight. If someone is force vaccinating you in your home with an actual injection, then yeah, you can fight. That's where you fight when you're in imminent danger. If you're not in imminent danger, then there's no reason to fight. I tend to go in and out of that because I get kind of annoyed and my biochemistry gets kind of weird, and I'll be like, oh my God. And then you'll see me be like, activists and I do mention activists because I came from the activist world. So I can speak on that. Activists are very compartmentalized because guess what? When I was doing that speech over in Portugal, I was still stuck in all of the details of the protocol. I wasn't looking at the big picture because I didn't have the big picture yet. I was still stuck in the details, so I wasn't very effective in getting my point across. I mean, I was able to work one-on-one with people, and they're part of my Facebook, or they're part of my group, and they're seeing how this is now developing with the bigger picture. But when you are so lost in the details, you fail to see the bigger picture. And so then you start that, and then you don't realize that you're actually hypocritical in your belief system as well as what you do. And I see that so often. And so that's why I've taken people off my Facebook that are part of the anti-vax world, that are very, very prominent, that I have interacted with a few times. And because they can't learn. And they've watched my videos, but yet they still want to go and promote, thieves oil and all the different spices. They're still stuck in the holistic supplements world. Part of the Bay Area. So of course the Bay Area, oh my God. It doesn't surprise me that they can listen to my stuff and not even take anything in, because the Bay Area, man, I swear, California, it has a hold on people. And so, yeah, I mean, so I wasn't totally surprised, but I was kind of disappointed because I knew she was watching my videos, but nope, she still wants to promote her oils. Okay, fine. See you later. Good luck to you. I hope your beautiful family, can survive all this craziness. Maybe you'll buy the book down the road when you see yourself degrading, because she is a grandma. Beautiful grandma, but she's steadily aging. Hey, if she accepts death, then I don't know why she's fighting the anti-vax world or fighting the pro-vax world if she still accepts death. Because this information is about absolutes. It's the differentiation of absolutes when it comes to advertising that I had to get my mind wrapped around, and I finally did. It took a minute. But now, yes, now we do have to come from absolutes. Because when you come from an absolute and you have the evidence to support that this absolute can actually exist in real time, then now all of the drama, the activism, the politics starts just going down the drain. The conspiracy community starts then just going down the drain. There's no sense in pointing out things you see on the internet when you're not even taking care of yourself. You're like, oh yeah, the Illuminati, they're out to kill everybody. Ooh, they're out to kill everybody. And you're still steadily taking in elements that are inducing natural killer cells, and you're on a death trajectory. You're not even doing Jilly Juice, or you kind of half-assed do Jilly Juice, but yet you're still stuck in the conspiracy world. There's a bunch of hypocrisy going on. A lot of it, even people who are doing Jilly Juice, they're hypocritical. I see it. Some of them I had to get off my Facebook because I couldn't handle watching their newsfeed, and I couldn't handle them commenting. Because they would still come from, and I could sense it, that they're still heavily mutated. And so then I point out the difference. My husband yesterday, he's so funny. I love my husband. He's a nerd too, but he called me a nerd. Okay, that's why I posted about nerds and geeks, because I'm like, what? I'm a nerd. Like, yeah, you're a nerd. I'm like, okay. I'm like, and then there's like, yeah, and then I guess what was it? If you say that California is trying to eradicate and abolish the word nerd, I'm like, I'm not surprised California would do that. California is crazy. But I'm looking, okay, I'm like, well, maybe they're doing that because we have so many different words for the same thing that they're just trying to alleviate all of that clutter in our mind. That if they're going to abolish the word nerd, then that's great. That's one less word I have to use. Which is completely asinine, but it's like I'm joking with him and he's joking with me, and we joke, and that's what we do because we're husband and wife and we love each other. But then I actually looked up the word nerd, and I looked up the word geek, and because he did mention the word geek, and I'm like, oh, like a geek squad. I'm like, Geek Squad. And I'm like, yeah, he's like, well, they won't get rid of the word Geek Squad because then Best Buy would have to go in and demolish their department of Geek Squad. I'm like, well, that's probably better to keep geeks than nerd. And then I'm looking at actually the definition of nerd. And it's someone that is a practitioner of their interests. They're not just a fan on the outside going, "Ooh, I love this," but they're not actually taking part in it. No, a nerd actually puts their money where their mouth is. Geeks are the ones that are fans of things, but they don't practice what they preach. So I have a lot of geeks on my page, but not enough nerds on my page. I'm trying now to elicit the nerd in you around Jilly Juice, not the geeks. Because the geeks will speak a good game, but they do not exemplify from their mouth what they believe in, because their actions completely say the opposite of what they say they believe in. So now I'm trying to elicit the nerds, not the ones that are the fly-by-night, oh, I'm a fan of you, Jillian, because I love the controversy that you dig up, because I love controversy anyways, because I love all the drama of the Illuminati and the conspiracies and all the politics and the for and against. No. Now I want you to actually be a nerd. put your money where your mouth is. Exemplify, you know, exemplify what this protocol is. This protocol is not about playing those games. That's part of the system that makes you hypocritical. If you believe in life, life everlasting, life indefinite, then you're going to keep your hormones calm. You're not going to trigger all your friends and family to then start going on that death trajectory, because that's what activism is. It's triggering people into a hormonal response. Now, if there was a good reason behind it to where you actually had something to make them wake up, and that's within the power for them to live an everlasting, indefinite life, like what I do occasionally when I do pick on the activists, because I do trigger the activists. But I do it for a reason. Now I could say that, well, why would you do that if you don't want to, kill people? Jillian, you're triggering somebody else by doing that. Well, because it's to make a point about compartmentalization and the details that are stopping you from seeing the bigger picture. Now somebody else can claim the same thing. Okay, so now you know the Illuminati exists, if they actually even do. And here's your evidence, which is an article. Where is that going to get them? How is that going to better their life? So now they know, oh yeah, the Rothschilds exist. Oh, the Federal Reserve, they take your money. Fractional reserve system, whatever the hell it is people don't want to talk about out there. How is that enhancing their life, knowing that there's secret groups? We know the KKK exists. We know that there are secret societies out there. How is that bettering their life? How is that making them progress better in their families? How is it helping you knowing that the Illuminati exists? Oh, now I'm more enlightened. I'm more awakened. I know what. Okay. When you have knowledge of something, so what are you going to do about it? So now they know the Illuminati exists. Now you know that the Federal Reserve system exists. Now you know that the Rothschilds exist. Now you know that the KKK exists. What are you going to do about it? Oh, I'm going to go out there and fight. I'm going to go out there and elicit more hormones and go to the streets and go fight. Because that's what you're basically telling people. Now that you know these things exist, now you got to go and pick up arms and go fight them. Is that really what you want your friends to do, is go and fight something they can't even grasp or even see? I mean, what is your intention when you are raising awareness? Because the holistic community, when they do the anti-vax and all those different, focusing on the adjuvants and on all the different chemicals, what's the actual intention behind it? What kind of action do they want people to take? That's what you have to focus on. Who is getting benefit from this information coming out? Oh, wait, the holistic. So when you're doing anti-vax and you're doing all the things about the corrupt vaccines and all of that, what you want your listeners to actually do is either get a homeoprophylaxis type of vaccine, which is the green vaccine, or go buy pills, powders, and supplements and detoxes and spend money, which will then also degrade you because you're taking in hormone replacement therapy. You're taking in NK cells. You're taking in T cells. You're taking in, well, what do? You're taking in antigen that's creating these mutations, and it's causing NK cells, causing mutations, and then eliciting a hormone. But it's for money, it's for profit. So people are taking up all of these positions, these activists raising awareness positions, with absolutely no regard, because they don't know what they're dealing with. They don't know who they're going to trigger into some kind of activity. Now, same could be said for me, but here's the thing. I'm on the side of life. I'm not trying to destroy people. I believe no one should ever die. There should be, immortality really does exist if we are in the right conditions, and that we live in a society where people say they believe in life, but yet their actions say stuff that's completely different. And then I completely understand my trolls who think, that are pro-life. So we're on the same page. They just think I'm killing people, but I'm not. But my belief system, but they didn't think, oh yeah, well, she's probably another one of those that say one thing and do another, because she's trying to sell a book or trying to sell this. Well, I've given you the science to back up why I think that humanity should never die, and that I see so many hypocrites out there that say that they're against death and they're fighting for life, but yet their body's degrading. They accept their parents dying. They accept their grandparents dying. They accept they're anti-vax, but they're okay with their grandma passing away. Okay, I mean, even the one with Bruce Wilmot in the hospice. I'm pro-life, and they're so pissed that Bruce died, not because of me. They're just so pissed that he died. They don't like death at all. People don't like death. Okay, if you don't like death, then why are you doing all these actions that are promoting death? That's what I'm trying to do, is wake people up in that regard. Not just for the hell of it, because I have nothing better to do except talk about the Illuminati or chemtrails or 5G or whatever else. Which, I mean, I get if someone actually is killing people with it, but no, but you're not getting killed from 5G. They had to do tests in some places to see what level they need to be so it doesn't decimate the population. So even my trolls and I are on the same page. And that's a huge revelation for me, because I probably wouldn't be able to think this way a year or two ago. But it comes from knowing and coming from the absolutes that we are told not to think within, because of all the different cultures and belief systems and religions and political persuasions and mutations. So let's just cut to the chase, get rid of all the distraction, and realize, are you for life or for your death? And everybody is for life. Nobody is pro-death. Because when you see all the actions out there, they're anti-death, but yet their actions are actually pro-death, but they don't realize it because they don't understand the science. They don't understand the laws. When you don't know the laws, you'll believe all the stories. And that really is very appropriate. We have laws for a reason. The OAG, the Ohio Attorney General, has laws. The Federal Trade Commission has laws. Our society has laws. Yes, some people break them. Yes, there are people that are corrupt, but some of them will get held accountable. Others won't. I mean, I watched a movie last night called The Keepers yesterday. Oh my God. I binged on The Keepers. I kept seeing it on my suggestion to watch, but I never did, because I'm like, oh, murder. I'm like, whatever. I don't want to hear another murder story. But then somebody mentioned on Facebook about the Catholic Church and the Archdiocese in Baltimore, Maryland. And there's a lot of corruption in some of these institutions. And some people do get away with it. And some people do get abused. And yeah, that sucks. And we should hold everybody accountable for abusing people purposely. But not everybody is going to. So really the best thing you do is you can heal yourself from whatever action somebody did, because they were very mutated. And it turns out that guy, Mescal or whatever his name is, he died from, he was in a old home, person's home, at 60 with Alzheimer's. He totally doesn't even know who he is because of those years. I mean, he was already mutated. When somebody abuses another person, sexually abuses another person, or physically or verbally or mentally, all of that, it's from a mutation. And eventually, yes, they will die from that mutation, and they're going to take a lot of people down with them. And hopefully, even if you guys have been abused by somebody in your childhood or in your adulthood, that you know that you can heal from those types of wounds, those PTSDs. You can heal from that. Yes, you'll have to feel some pain, and yes, you're going to have somebody like a therapist to help you through that if you're doing Jilly Juice, to help you deal with that pain, because some of this pain can be very, very traumatic for some people. Very traumatic. And so, so there are corrupt people in our society. But for the most part, we do have a good intention with law and order around here. I mean, they try to put their good intentions back in Prohibition days. But then guess what? When they eradicated or tried to outlaw alcohol, some of the mutated people that really wanted their alcohol found a way to bootleg it. And then that's when the mafia started to rise up. Because you can't legislate morals on somebody, on people. Life wants to exist, regardless of which life it is, whether it's fungus and parasites and other mutations in a body, or you as a human. Somebody or someone or something is going to fight for their own life, okay? So it's a matter of what elements you're giving what life and what you're feeding to what life. Are you feeding you, or are you feeding the parasites and the fungus? Are you regenerating your cells, or are you mutating yourself even more? Those are the two things. Are you on a life trajectory or on a death trajectory? It's really two choices in life. It really is two choices in life or death. So, and then the whole thing with the drug war. You know, back when Nixon, even though I know Nixon was like supposedly corrupt, and he probably was, but you know what? He had a good message. Even some of the most heinous criminals in our history that we've heard probably had a good message here and there when they had certain windows of benevolence, of clarity. And then again, then they're all their parasites and all their fungus took over and they did stupid stuff. Okay, so it's like it wasn't like the government and our leaders aren't trying to work with y'all, but they're dealing with a very mutated population. Very mutated population. So they got to find a way to accommodate everybody and deal with the lowest common denominators. And that's what the public school system is about, is dealing with the lowest common denominator. What is their intention? Is to stabilize people. Their intention is to get everybody with a bunch of antibodies, so that way, even though they're mutated and they're not repairing, at least they can handle whatever sickness. They're not going to die because they have it in their body. They're strengthening their, but they're also weakening the person. But hey, you know, that's how the government works. When you're dealing with the public, that is the public health perception. And so when you put your kid in school, or when you go to a hospital or a doctor's office or any government service, you are saying that now you are one of many people that they have to deal with. So they will treat you accordingly. They'll treat you like the lowest common denominator. They will. So if you truly know what you're doing, you won't put yourself in the public school system, or you'd find ways to counter their practices. Because they're not trying to kill you. They're just trying to deal with the fact that they know that these people in islands can't be mixed in with the Westerners, because they would die from all the pathogens. That's why the vaccines and all those things exist, to then, when people from different countries, from different backgrounds, try to then assimilate to the US, they don't die right off the bat. They are transitioning slowly. Doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's wonderful, but that's the thought behind it. So when I came from Vietnam, I was heavily vaccinated. I could say, hey, I could call foul if they're trying to kill me. No, they just didn't want me to be exposed to all these pathogens and then die from the massive amount of antigen, then turn into antibodies, and then die from all of that. I mean, that's what too many antibody accumulates right off the bat all at once is well, too many antigens accumulate all at once. It does kill the body. Too many antibodies will shut the body down. But that's because they're coming from the point of not understanding the background, of the point of they can't force nutrition onto people. And since we've been so mutated for so many centuries, the pain process is too much to bear for some people. So they're not going to introduce something that's going to cause people pain. And they probably didn't even know it. I don't know. Maybe we did discover something pretty awesome that nobody really thought of. Maybe we did have a discovery on Facebook that pain actually is healing. I mean, I kind of knew it. People knew it, that when you're in pain, it's healing, but no one really ever really put it out there in a protocol publicly, and then also offer it to the mainstream, and then go on a TV show that wanted to skewer the hell out of me, and then have all these articles written about me and saying I'm trying to hurt people when I'm not. You know, maybe back then the government, when they brought me into America from Vietnam, they didn't realize that if you gave a kid strategic nutrition using the right kind of salt, using nutrition and factor fermentation, they wouldn't need the vaccines. But since people are not coming from that nutritional standpoint, it's not up to the government to tell you how to eat and tell you what to feel. They're on a reactive. They're not proactive. The government is not proactive. And it's not because they're meaning to do that. It's because they can't possibly legislate all of these different things onto so many different people who are mutated anyways. So they have to come from a very lowest common denominator perspective with everybody. So if you know better, then do better, be better. But when you are actively, against the government, and you're actively on a platform of an activist platform and you're afraid of the 5G and the chemtrails and all of these different things, and you're playing with organite and you're all with the crystals, and you say you're pro-life, but yet your actions are actually pro-death, that is the hypocrisy that is part of the mainstream and the alternative mainstream. And that is what I'm trying to uncover, is that you have to adopt two things, two absolute. Now, you don't have to, but then you can be hypocritical your whole life. And yes, I know there are some jilly juicers who are hypocritical in their thought process. They say they're jilly juicers, they say they're pro-life, but yet their actions speak completely the opposite. I know it, they know it. I'm not calling everybody out because we're still in the period of transition. I know exactly what goes on out there. I see it all the time. When we are purposely triggering our friends into raising awareness about things that are not dangerous, that they can't really do anything about, and even if they did, the only thing they could do about it is go out there and protest. Is that something that you want your friends to go out there and put themselves in harm's way? When someone goes out there and protests, they are accepting that they can't control the conditions, and they may get hurt. They may get arrested. Do you really want your friends to do that? When you're anti-vax, you're then essentially giving people the option to then go into the holistic world, to taking all of these different pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes, or the homeoprophylaxis. The best thing a person can do when they want to exemplify what pro-life actually is, they get off the activist platform and they actually exemplify what pro-life is. They are peaceful. They drink the drink. They talk about their testimonies and how this has helped them completely change from being this crazy, erratic, imbalanced, hormonally charged person to now a peaceful person that can focus on their children, can get their children in a perfect balance, even if they have them in the school system. But if they find that their kid is being abused, they take them out of the school system. What I don't understand is these mothers that put their kids in the school system, they're getting abused and they're all pissed off that their kids are being bullied, but yet they release the kid out of their hands into a school system where they don't see anything that goes on and they're crying foul. Well, I'm sorry, but if you give your kid away to anybody, you're leaving it up to the state to figure out, and you can't dictate what the state will try to do the best they can, but they're not perfect. They're dealing with mutations themselves. So how can you, as a mother who's well balanced, trying to be peaceful, alleviate those types of situations? It's not being on this activist platform just gunning for everybody and their mother. No, why don't you get yourselves all well balanced? Get your kids well balanced. Find a profession. Get your kids set up to then go into these different professions, because you can make your own business down the road. You don't have to work for a factory or a government. Some will do, some will, we know, and we need people that do that. So we need people who are mutated to work in these specific places. But then those of you who are understanding Jilly Juice and you want to be peaceful and you're tired of the activism because you're finally tired of being a hypocrite. I know I'm saying that like that, yes. But you're tired of being a hypocrite. Because, yeah, I guess if you're not posting about the Illuminati and chemtrails and 5G and something else, what are you going to do with your life? Oh, yeah, you're actually going to focus on making your life better and your kids' life better. And so, yeah. And it comes down to education. Activism and fighting is really not education. And I oscillate back and forth because I get really annoyed. I really do. Because I do see a lot of my activist friends or other people saying, oh yeah, if someone doesn't believe in Jesus, then they're horrible. Why would someone have to believe in Jesus to believe in life? You don't have to believe in Jesus to believe in life. Life is life. If Jesus is your representation of life, that's great. Then we're all on the same page. You don't have to call it the same name. So education is when, and this is where I'm going to be biased and be like, hey, Jilly Juice, and then watching the layers of programming peel away. Survival of the fittest, well, that's very, very vague, because what does fit mean? We have people who are very hormonally imbalanced, like bodybuilders. who will then can crush somebody who is more healthier than them. So it's not Darwinism. There is no such thing as survival of the fittest, because that actually can be that can be construed in so many different ways. Survival of the hormonally imbalanced, because Schwarzenegger can kick my ass. I'm probably healthier than Schwarzenegger, but he can kick my ass. My husband is stronger than me, but I'm healthier than he is. So does strength actually mean health? Not necessarily so. So there's a lot of layers of peeling back that we need to do. And it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute. But we first have to then acknowledge that we are hypocrites. I'm sure I can be somewhat hypocritical. And if I do catch myself, I mean, if I do see that I'm hypocritical, I do catch myself and I do acknowledge it. And some of you have seen it. If you understand when I do say stuff that I'm like, oh wait, I'm doing that too. Because it's very easy to slide back into the fight, into the activist, into the, oh yeah, death is okay. No, death is not okay. Death is a consequence. Death is a mutation. But it's a consequence because of ignorance, not because of that it's just part of life. Death is not a part of life. Life is life. Death is a cycle of just how the universe works. Okay? Because you will water your plant when you see it feeling like it's going to wither away. You won't, I mean, maybe it'll change if you start understanding that life is life, and that plants and animals, or your house plants and animals and humans and your parents and your friends and your families aren't disposable. Life isn't disposable. But that's how humanity has treated life. And that is still very, very, even in the Jilly Juicers, that's still that common thought that life is disposable, because they want to believe in their ascension, and they want to play with their hormones and play with ayahuasca and other types of DMT bringing up drugs. Yeah, that's just another aspect of your death trajectory speaking to you through that lens of death. And I know exactly people who still believe in that. And I get it. It's a period of transition. You're still doing Jilly Juice, but yet you still want to play with your hormones. You know that hormones are a death trajectory, and that's what the spirit is. It's your hormones. And you think that death is okay, that you don't ever really die. You're just like in a different energy form. That is a new ager perspective that doesn't fully believe in life, but says they do, but they don't. That's the hypocrisy that I deal with, and that I'm calling out. So now it's time to come to terms with what our true beliefs are and finally actually align ourselves with our mouth as well as our body and our lifestyle. All right. I'm going to go take care of packing because I got to do that, but I wanted to just give you guys a piece of my mind today. All right. Thanks for listening. Hey, Krista. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, everybody. Yeah, you're feeding the fungus or you're feeding yourself. One of the two. One life is going to live. And if it ain't you, it's going to be somebody else. It might as well be you. All right, bye. It'll be somebody else or something else. Yeah. All right, bye-bye.